All right. Well, welcome back to everybody who cares to, stick around for the ride. Thought I'd just do a little pre-submission analysis, excuse me, to PSA for my own cataloging purposes. It'd be good to know sort of what my, or at least recall what my earlier expectations are before sending it through so that I can gauge it against once they come back through. If you watched the video last time, outside of sort of the more modern Pokemon cards, I'm looking to really start to submit a larger assortment of my Unlimited Versus Holo collection, which is really more for my personal collection. But to be honest, everything I'm actually submitting is likely to I'm probably gonna sell it because they're all extras, and then I'll just use those funds to finish up the collections I'm actually trying to finish in Pokemon. Um, without getting too deep into that, I think one of the challenges I've had is if you don't pick a lane, you end up just collecting a ton of different holos in Pokemon. And then, 10 years later now after collecting, I finally think I've just decided to pick a path or pick a road, and it's going to be mainly collecting the trainer owned type of Pokemon. So you're actually going to see in the submission some of the ones I'm looking to submit as part of my own collection. But overall, hopefully make some PSA 10s, or not make some PSA 10s, but overall get the cards I'm looking for in my collection in PSA 10s. So if the ones I'm grading now return as PSA 9s or 8s, maybe flipping them for some little and then paying the premium to eventually get the 10. But otherwise, I guess let's just get started in what we're looking at. Looking to submit about 30 this time around. And so let's just kind of get started. I expect sort of these more modern, and they're not even as modern these days, right? The GXs and the VMAXs. Um, I anticipate those ones are closer to the 10, based on what my tag team results were from the last video. And I think a lot of this has to do with the lack of borders in most of these full arts. But if we look at these ones, let's just aim high here based on what I'm seeing from an eye test of the borders too. I'm thinking we're potentially leaning on a 10 for this one. I actually got a second one. And, again, just a quick eye test on the borders. Most of the modern cards, you don't have to worry as much about, like the foils being trash. Again, I'm seeing minor border discrepancies, but I believe that's in the allowable limit. So, to me, that's probably, let's aim high. 10 again. EV, this was a promo. VMAX. Borders look good. I think the back borders look really good. Let's just aim 10 that one. All right. Some more tag teams because I just kind of had these lingering. Feels like the borders look pretty good on the front and in the back. Oh, is that? Oh, that's just some dust. Good. Let's go for 10 for that one, right? Oh, I guess that was the other full art version of it. Or this is the full art. That was more the secret rare, I guess. Borders from the front look good. From the back side, no scuffs. Borders look appropriate. Let's say that's a 10. And then I think it's the last tag team in this batch. From the front, I think we're looking good. I probably should have filmed these before I stuck them in the card savers. Basically getting that same PSA glare at this point, but it's all right. I think that's a little dust. I'm not seeing any issues with the border. Let's aim 10 for all those tag teams and current ones. So now let's get into the more classic cards, which I don't really expect any 10s at all. But let's just throw them out here. Okay. First edition Dark Magneton. Oof, look at that silver glare right there on the... Too bad the phone can't capture it based on the lighting. But first edition. So from a foil standpoint, I don't see any scuffs or anything. So that's, I almost feel like that's a little bit of victory in itself if you don't get the front foil scratches. Now, when we talk about the back, though, I think you're going to see a lot more of it. A little cornering there, a little cornering. What I'd love to see is maybe a 9 in this. I could see them going to 8. Almost, yeah, I mean, like again, these, I don't even touch that card, but it's like it almost looks like it's even shaved off a little or just got cut. Now, this card I've had for like 10, 15 years, so I'm sure it wasn't like actually intentionally cut by anybody. It's probably just a little bit of a defect, but I'd love a 9 on this. Dark Magneton. I do have a complete set of Team Rocket. Mainly that's because the Rockets, they didn't even have Rockets back then. I remember now Dark was my first intended collection. And I still can have that collection, but I think I'm going to maneuver away from it. So I think we might find myself getting rid of my Team Rocket collections, including Team Rocket Returns EX. That should be an interesting one. So hopefully a 9 on Magneton. That'd be great. Let's get Dark Raichu First Edition. First secret rare, right? First secret rare on all of them. Now, I don't see any obvious scratches on the foil. That's nice. It's kind of a beauty from the front. Now, once I flip it over, I think we're going to see some things just like the Dark Magneton. Yeah, a little scuffing right there. Definitely some scuffing. And again, it's got kind of almost that same corner, like I said, I feel like some of the older Pokemon cards, America's just kind of testing it out here. They just were not respecting the cardboard. Not like Japanese cards. I'd love to get a 9 in this one as well. Based on the last submission, those scuffs I was getting, it was I didn't know what to expect, and I felt like most of them were still receiving 9s despite some of the scuffs. So I'd love to see this in the 9 as well. Okay, my guy Dark Alakazam here. Let's see. It's a little much harder to see the foil, but as far as I can tell, no foil scratches. Let's flip it over. Okay, minor. Oh, see, oh man, this was looking pretty good up until the 2 corners. So 2 corners, minor scuff. I feel more confident that this one would actually get a 9 compared to the other 2. Again, I'd love to see them all 3 as a 9. These were actually extras from my complete Team Rocket collection that I have. So these guys will probably go on the market. And eventually even that full collection, I'm thinking. Oh, I guess I had another kind of modern here. This is Charizard from the Detective Pikachu movie promo. You know what? I saw this, I had it. I probably was just like, Charizard's obviously have a decent turnover rate right now in terms of price. And I don't collect Charizard, so I might as well throw this one out. I don't see anything major here. The borders, right side's a little more thin, but I think it's still within the limit to potentially receive that 10 here. So I'd love to see a 10 in that. Okay, now we start getting into a few cards that might fall into my collection. Oh, wait, let's jump a few. So this one's interesting. These guys, I didn't even realize I saved. And I'll probably, just remove them. But this is hidden in Steam Siege. And it didn't even, it was almost like the kind of pseudo deltas in a way where they came in and they said, hey, we're gonna give these Pokemon 2 types. What I didn't realize is these are shinies. These are shiny versions, actually. And so here's the Shift Tree version of it. I believe the back is marked up pretty good. And when I say pretty good, I mean it's just like clear as day scuffs. I generally take pretty good care of my cards. None of them are like damaged, but like that scuff there, it looks pretty bad. In my opinion, if that kind of flew out with a 9, that'd be cool, you know, and then I'd have kind of a better understanding maybe on sort of how PSA values scuff marks. But I think that corner is like pretty prominent. You won't miss it even on an eye test. Um, then we got Bisharp, right? Again, I didn't think about this at the time, but he's obviously shining. The shift tree is easy to miss, but Bisharp being blue over here. Um, and so, of course, I realized this too late because I was like, oh, that seems interesting. And I look at the rest of them, and they're all like $100, $200. Okay, cool. Oh gosh, this video is at 10 minutes already. I wasn't intended on doing it. Let me kind of fly through a little more of these. These are more for my personal collection. I'd love to see them in the tens, but you know, we'll see where they are. Erica's Vileplume, like I said, my collection is ultimately going to be trainer owned, and that's not just classic. We're talking about Level X generation, Frontier Brains, Plasma Blast, all that stuff. So from the front, it's looking pretty good. No hollow marks. And from the back, I don't see any obvious scuffs. Well, let's get a little focus. Maybe right there. Yeah, I could see him ding that off. Love to see a 9 in this. I mean, I'd love to see a 10 in this, but I kind of feel like that scuff might come through. A couple Frontier Brains, actually. These are cross hatches, so I believe you get these at like special tournaments. And so, you know, like I said, Frontier Brains are going to be ones I try and collect myself. I do believe scuffs on kind of the back of these. Yeah, that's a scuff there. Cornering scuff. And then for this one, actually, this one's not so bad. Oh, you know what? This is interesting. I think there's, yeah, I normally for me, it's only corners. I'm surprised this one has a little on the edging. So, both of these, I'd love to see a 9. I can actually see these going to 8. I'm not even loving what I see in the back here. So, Entei from a little unknown promo card. So, this is kind of unfortunate. I thought this I just unsealed. And I was really hoping that because it was sealed, it'd be perfect. Unfortunately, nice little ding right there, you know, and tried to like, yeah, you know, a little bit, but that didn't help. So, hopefully that ding leaves this as a 9. Again, I think it's just kind of a cool promo card. But, all right. These couple from my collection here. So the Versus series, right? So if those of you aren't familiar with the Versus series were also trainer owned, but these were only released in Japan, and this was the gold and silver generation, right? So if everybody's familiar with Gym Trainer and Trainer Challenge, I forgot the original names at this point, but those were red-blue generation of trainers. You got your Blaines, your Sabrinas, your Misties, and in English, they never actually released the Versus series, which was the gold and silver trainer versions of the cards. And then you started having and it was like Elite Four too. You would have like Bruno Steelix, Agatha's. Did she have a Gengar? I mean, in the game she did, but in the card I can't remember. But you started at Jasmine Steelix as well. So this is kind of things I've been collecting. I wish I knew about these like 10 years ago, and I wish, you know, no one really saw kind of how Pokemon cards were going to blow up. But like these were buying like $10 a pack, import from Japan, and so that's not that much now that I'm looking back, right? But I wish I bought so much more of these. But we know how Japanese cards are. The quality is usually immaculate, so I don't know how that goes into the grading because it's like they're all great, and so what makes the 10 the greater of the great? And so yeah, I mean, like I'm gonna hope for a 10 on these. Wobbuffet has been in my collection for a long time. I'd like a 10 on him so that I can just keep them and I don't have to think about potentially flipping for an upgraded level 10 or PSA 10 Wobbuffet in the future. Okay. All right. So I think for those of you who are also still interested, I want to spend just a couple minutes talking about the Unlimited Versus. Again, Unlimited Versus is now a discontinued trading card system from Japan, right? Just like Y Schwartz is a system, Level Up's a system, all those ones. And so they really in their time of availability, they only had four animes or video games that they went through, and so the the first one was actually Blaze Blue. So this is interesting. I didn't even know at this point. I didn't even remember I had these cards. But so we've got a couple Noels that I'm looking to submit, and so both of them have the gold stamp. Now this one I submitted last time, got a 9. I didn't even realize I had a copy. So definitely going for another one in 10. So this one, just based on the signature itself. Now I gotta say I don't know whose signature that is. Is that the artist? Is that the voice actor? I don't actually know if they tell you on the card what signature it is. I think it's just, if you were able to read the signature, you just understand who it is. And so I got to ask myself how far down the path I'm looking to find that out. I mean, I think it may play a role in the naming of the PSA grade, because I probably can't just call it like, hey, gold stamp 1 and gold stamp 2. But we'll figure that out. Now, unfortunately, with this one, you're not going to be able to see it through the card. There are two tiny little dents, like right here. I don't know where that came from. I don't think I opened this card. I do believe I ordered it offline, probably imported from Japan years ago. So I usually tend to take really good care of my cards. I don't think I'd let two little dents come through. So let's hope for a 10 on this and maybe a 9 on this. They don't take too much off the dings. I feel like this one, the signature, is probably much rarer and more valuable to people in terms of what they're looking for. All right, let's talk about Series 2, I guess, which is Senran Kagura. Now, even though Senran Kagura was like the second series to be in Unlimited Versus, they had 4 volumes. So this is the Senran Kagura is the largest volume. And I have way more holos of this, but I'm looking to kind of limit it at 30. And so, I got to admit, at some point, I'm losing the names of a lot of these girls because it's an anime or video game that had a lot. So we got a couple of the bunny outfits. Last time, if you remember, I graded Homura in the black bunny outfit. Yeah, another character card. Again, not spending too much time on these, but you can see there really is no like bordering here. So unless there's kind of like mess up on the foil, like I'm hoping these all come in with a 10, right? All right, so let's talk about third volume that came out. A few more of Valkyrie Romance, and so this is interesting. And I don't know, maybe it's because, as far as I'm aware, Valkyrie Romance was only an anime. You'll see that Blaze Blue, Senran Kagura also has video game mediums, but I felt like these were underappreciated because I was buying up these gold signature cards for like $20, like nothing. People were just, they had them on eBay. I was importing from Japan. So got a couple more signature cards that I went to go through. Now, if you guys saw the last video, I had sent one through as well. And my main concern here, and I believe I still say the same thing, is the way these cards are, this gold bordering right here. This gold bordering is like stamped in, embroidered, whichever is the more correct term, into the card. And what I was seeing is that can sometimes show up in the back. And, I wasn't sure how PSA would treat that. Like, it's not like a bend. It's not necessarily damage. It's actually a stamp from the front of the card. It's almost as if, like, you could almost maybe see the signature from the back too, right? Would they hold that against the card? And I think, as far as I'm aware, the last time I submitted this, another Valkyrie Romance with the gold stamp, it came back with a 7 or an 8. So I do think it might have been held against the card. I'm going to try again with these two. Let's see how we're doing. Because otherwise, I think these cards are pretty immaculate. Again, like, I mean, I guess there's that bordering there, but they're good, and there's no bordering the back. I don't see any damage. It's just really hopeful that the potential stamp coming through the back side doesn't get treated as damage. So we'll go that. And then the last, oh, well, I guess one more Senran Kagura I was looking to send through. Hopefully a 10. And then the last series that was added to Unlimited Versus before being dropped was Hyper Dimension Neptunia. This has a pretty big fan base in terms of the video games, right? So again, these are just the character cards, are all hollows. There's two versions, Transforms versions and the non-Transformer versions, and then I think like swimsuit version in this case. So I'd love to see 10s on all of these. Hyperdimension Neptunia is probably the ones I have the least copies for, so like these are the only ones that I'm grading. I don't have additional ones of these, so love to see 10. Again, sending this through, and then I'll make another little video to catalog once they come back with grades. If you are sticking around for the ride, thank you for watching. And then I have my own eBay store now, so these cards, once they get graded, my graded cards will come back to and be sold on that eBay store I have listed probably in my description. So definitely check out the eBay store if you're interested in any of these cards. Cool. See you around.